Okay, it is week 8, and welcome to Critical Issues in Criminal Justice. Week 8, this is near the end, and so I'm going to take a few minutes to share some information that will help you this week with assignments. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Share my screen. Okay, and as usual, my contact information is an instructor information, reminding you that you're required to conduct research for all papers. That means the sole source of your papers cannot be the text, that you'll lose 2 points for that. That's one of the things I keep saying over and over. And then all written assignments should be in APA format. That means citations in the body and references at the end. And then be sure that your papers satisfy the requirements of Grammarly. You need to run your papers through Grammarly and do a plagiarism check. It's very important, okay? And then it tells you here about our lecture schedule. Today is week 8. We have one more in week 10, and then we will be done. So now let's get right to my announcement. Okay, let's see what the announcement says. Now, first of all, some of you have asked me about the ACAT, and what's going to happen is that this is an assessment test, and you're going to receive login information that comes, and then you're going to submit it, and then you will be given 30 points for taking it. So I will be sending, it says I have sent each of you an email with your login information, and actually that hasn't happened yet because I'm waiting to get the information about the login details. So, and then this is your week 8 assignments. Terrorism and Homeland Security. In light of the things that are happening today, Homeland Security is pretty busy, and so your reading assignment, Chapter 14 to 16 of Visions for Change, Crime and Justice in the 21st Century, and then look at the sections on terrorism. And your discussion assignment, which was due Tuesday, Winning the War on Terror. I constantly remind you to provide detailed information. You can provide citations and references. I'm not one of those professors that gets too tough on it. However, I will deduct points for each day that your assignment, your initial post is late, and reminding you that once we hit Monday or the end of Sunday night, all reply posts cannot be considered, neither can initial posts. So all posts should be posted during the week of the discussion forum is what I'm really saying. So this week, Winning the War on Terror, and then your reply post due Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. I'm sorry, your reply post due Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then the written assignment, Criminal Justice, Critical Issues. I'm looking for your rough draft on your project. Make sure that you have followed the guidelines that are there. The ACAT Criminal Justice Test as well will be coming up. So now get ready for that, and we'll provide that information to you as well. So now let's take a look at the requirements that I submitted to you already for the rough draft. Here we go, which is due this week. And this is the criteria that I will be grading on. I already gave this to you, So you should be able to have these. And these are the points that I'm going to be grading you on. And making sure that you satisfy every one of these points is very critical in making sure that you receive all of your points. And then in a couple of weeks, you'll be submitting your final project. And again, regarding the ACAT, you will be I'll give you some instructions on it, but you're required to submit a document in week 10 describing your experience and letting me know how you did. Not how you did, but you'll earn 30 points for completing the test and reporting your experience to me in an email, not the actual test itself. Okay? So that's very important, and that's a question that you asked about the ACAT. So now let's look at the calendar, course calendar. Here we go. Here we go. Here we are. So we're at this week, for the week of, no, we're at this week. No, this week. Next week we'll be at this one. So the assignments for this week, and then I already told you what they were. And then your critical issues project, I told you about that, your ACAT. And then reminding you, I put a little reminder in there. And it's just a reminder to remind you that your final paper is due, and it says next week, but it's really due week 10, at the end of week 10. So you want to make sure that you get that in to me. Okay, this is week 8. This is the beginning of week 9, and then this is, you want to make sure that your final project is due. Okay, let's move that down there. Okay, so your final project is due in week 10. Okay, and you can see that if you look at just to show you what I'm talking about, your assignments for week 10, that's when you turn in your critical issues project. Okay, and then you're going to take the ACAT as well as send me the information about it. And that's it for the calendar there. Let's go to week 8, which is this week's assignments. Again, your discussion post, and then your critical issues rough draft, getting ready for your final, and that's it. Those are the 2 things that are due Sunday, this Sunday, okay? Now let's take a look at our lesson content. Since we're talking about terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, a little bit about the Patriot Act, and then safety and security issues in the war on terror. So again, those are your assignments. Now it says ACA criminal justice test, but you're not really going to take it at that particular time, okay? You're not going to take it during week 8. So let's talk about terrorism and homeland security, some critical issues. As you know now, and you guys were much younger when this happened. This happened 16 years ago, almost 17 years ago. Coming up this year, it'll be 16 years ago that the September 11th attack took place. And so there's been a lot of things that happened, and as a result, there have been debates about how we detain terrorists. For example, Guantanamo Bay, as if you do any research, you'll discover Guantanamo Bay is like a concentration camp type of environment, not like our normal prisons that we have for criminals in the United States, but it's almost like a place where you get war criminals and people like that. But there is a debate about it, and the whole thing is that there were things like waterboarding, all kinds of stuff happening. There was torture methods for questioning. And so the law has been changed by the former president, President Obama, to be more relaxed on terrorists. But we don't know what's going to happen because with the new administration in, there can be some changes as far as Guantanamo Bay is concerned. And you can already sense the direction it's going in by the way that our country is dealing with the issues of border controls and also immigration and immigrants in the country and the whole issue about dealing with terrorists, so much to the point. So I would say that there may be some things that were done away with at Guantanamo Bay that may be revived in this administration. The constitutionality of the Patriot Act. Well, the Patriot Act, as you know, came about after the September 11th attack. And in the Patriot Act, there are many things that were in there, but some of the most important things that people constitutionally have pointed out is some loss of privacy, and there's some search and seizure issues under the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizures. And so the constitutionality of the Patriot Act has been challenged, but it has been ruled to be constitutional. And I can tell you how easily it is because there's a compelling interest at hand for providing protection for the citizens and for the residents and for the people of the United States of America. Therefore, the Patriot Act withstands any constitutional attack. And so there's a small amount of these rights that are taken away. Now, many have expressed the position that the Patriot Act is good because we gave up a little bit to protect us from dangers. And because remember that prior to the September 11th, no attack of that magnitude happened on the United States soil. The closest to it was in Hawaii, in Pearl Harbor. And that was at a time when Hawaii wasn't even part of the, I don't think it was, thinking I'm right, was not part of the United States, but there were military bases there. And there was the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. But anyway, there have been other bombings that took place here, like the Oklahoma City bombing. There were a few other bombings that took place, but the World Trade Center bombing changed everything. And so there's been arguments and debates about it. But I can tell you that based on what I look at in the Patriot Act, I understand the reason for it and to take some steps to protect us because there's more and more and more of a possibility that there could be attacks of terror happening in this United States of America. And with the Patriot Act, you should be aware that there have been some occasions since that time where there were attempts coming out and they were quashed because the government operated under the legality of the Patriot Act. It says, number 3, the involvement of the United States in wars and conflict between other nations. The United States has always been involved with helping their allies in conflicts dealing with other nations because of the fact that you have to remember one thing, is that we're not an island. we're not isolated, and that the United States of America is surrounded by other countries, and so it is in the best interest of us in the United States for us to participate in some of the wars. Now, there are some wars that people don't particularly care. I remember when I was a kid coming up and actually grew up to be 19 years old, the Vietnam War was going on in the late 60s to early 70s, and we all thought that that war was unjust. And anyway, the bottom line is that it did end at some point, but then we had the Gulf War, we had the Iraq, we had Iran, Afghanistan, all these different situations where the United States has been involved in. And one of the things that has taken place is that in the borders of the United States, unfortunately, like the bans that have been issued by the executive orders of the current president, there are challenges on people because of countries that they are from. And you know, the most interesting part about fighting terrorism is that the bans that are being presented are from countries that we haven't had any conflict with. There haven't been any problems with it. There has not been any terrorist activities from it. But the point of the matter is that the issue, in many people's opinion, says that it boils down to dealing with an attack on religion or race or nationality of people, and creates a problem as far as our country being a melting pot with people coming from all over the world to this country for a better opportunity. So anyway, so there's some issues internally that might arise or create disputes between nations that are outside the United States, but we'll have to wait and see. Preemptive strikes, these are act strikes that take place to stop activity from growing further. The unfortunate part about preemptive strikes is that innocent women and children are killed in those situations, but the argument is that it's better to kill a few of them and get rid of the enemies. I don't subscribe to that, and many people don't, but that's the ethics of preemptive strikes and what they're all about. And then I already talked about the use of torture or waterboarding as an interrogation technique. I talked about that in regards to Guantanamo Bay. And then finally, the treatment of domestic or American terrorists. We've had American terrorists here, like the Oklahoma City bombing, as you know. There were 2 United States citizens that did that. They were not foreign-born. They were not foreign-raised. They were raised and born in the United States of America. And so we have an issue or question: how do we deal with individuals who are in that situation? How do we deal with individuals who seek to participate with organizations that could be potential terrorist threats to our country, like Al-Qaeda, that are actual residents? Are they just simply demonstrating a political party, or are they actually terrorists? So that's the whole issue in a nutshell. So again, there is a debate, and you know, I have had a number of students who have commented in the discussion post this week and in other classes when I taught this same topic about terrorism, that we are not winning the war on terrorism. And I try to tell people that, well, it's an ongoing activity. And what's the definition of winning the war on terrorism? Are we talking about stopping it? Well, that's the attempt, that's the desire, but you and I both know we have to look at it from a real perspective, that because of the ideologies of other countries, we don't control some of them, and actually, you know, we have agreements. You have the Geneva Convention. You have United Nations. You have other kinds of agreements that countries talk about, such as I was listening on the news, and our president is saying that one of the goals of this country is to have the most nuclear weapons of anybody. And so it's already been established, though, that the United States and Russia together have enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world. That's a kind of a scary thought with the current environment that we have here. And so is it going to turn into a situation where internally, because of the way the country responds or protects even some that are our enemies? There are debates about the situation about Russia. Ever since I've been a kid, Russia has been one of the #1 enemies of the United States of America, going back to Nikita Khrushchev, Stalin, and those people. But the fact of the matter is that right now, you got Putin in office. That many people in the country are up in arms because there's some questions about many people in the government right now who have either close ties or friendships or good relationships with some of these individuals, and so it's a problem. It's a problem. So anyway, dealing with terrorism, the point of the matter is that you could be so busy trying to look at where terrorism is, trying to look at where terrorism is not taking place, and then there's a country like Russia that builds up its forces and internally gets you so busy focusing off there. We call that the red herring, or that you're off on one task, and in reality, the other is coming in the back door. So we'll have to see. But the answer is that I understand the position when students say that we are losing the war on terrorism. So in dealing with terrorism, there are a number of agencies. There's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who deal primarily on the domestic level. And then there's Department of Homeland Security. Now, the Department of Homeland Security came about after September 11th, and the purpose for that is to deal with potentially destructive individuals within our country as well, and also to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. So it's kind of like you hear about the CIA, the kind of thing that they'll look at terrorism different ways. This is how they say terrorism. And the FBI says terrorism is the unlawful use of force or violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce a government, the civilian population, and so forth, with political and social objectives. The Department of Homeland Security says that anything that's dangerous to human life. But here's the thing that they all have in common. And then Department of Defense says the calculated use of unlawful threat or violence to inoculate fear, intended to coerce or intimidate governments. The point of the matter is the key thing is that all these have in common is that it's an attempt to control government. That's what terrorism is all about, and to intimidate those who are in government. And so it's a very interesting thing. So anyway, that's that on terrorism. So I am done with this module. Let's go back. So I am going to terminate this meeting. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Let's get these assignments in, and let's see how well we operate. So I'm going to say good night and end this meeting.